You know what's strange? A lot of people today are technically doing everything right with money. They budget, they save, they avoid debt, they invest when they can. And they still feel financially anxious all the time. Not broke, not reckless, just exhausted. Because being good with money used to feel like stability. Now it feels like survival. And I think that shift has quietly changed people more than we realize. You can feel it in small moments. The hesitation before buying something simple. The guilt after ordering food. The constant mental math. The low-level panic after checking your bank account even when nothing is technically wrong. It's strange how money can make you feel unsafe, even when you're being responsible. Especially now. Because the truth is, being good with money has become emotionally confusing. Not because people suddenly became irresponsible, but because the entire environment around money changed. And most people are still blaming themselves for it. For a long time, financial responsibility was built around a simple promise: work hard. Be disciplined, delay gratification. And eventually, life becomes stable. That promise mattered, not just financially. Psychologically. Because stability gives people emotional oxygen. It lets you plan. Breathe. Imagine a future. But over the last decade, something started breaking underneath that relationship, and I don't think we talk enough about what that does to the human nervous system. Because now, even responsible people feel financially fragile. Rent rises faster than salaries. Groceries feel unpredictable. One medical issue can wipe out years of progress. Entire industries feel unstable overnight. And meanwhile, the internet keeps showing you people your age apparently becoming wealthy before breakfast. So now money isn't just survival anymore, it's identity, status, safety, freedom. Proof that your life is working. That's a heavy emotional burden for something we interact with every single day. Especially because modern financial stress rarely looks dramatic. Most people aren't collapsing. They're functioning. They're answering emails while silently worrying about retirement. Going out with friends while calculating the cost in their head. Watching investment videos not because they love finance, but because they're afraid of falling behind. That's the part people misunderstand. Financial anxiety today often hides inside high-functioning behavior. And honestly, the system rewards that anxiety. Think about it. Entire industries profit from your uncertainty. Apps want you constantly checking your portfolio. News cycles monetize fear. Social media turns wealth into performance art. Algorithms amplify urgency because urgency keeps people watching. You were never supposed to compare your financial life to millions of people at once. But now we do it every day, and psychologically, that changes our baseline for what feels normal. A modest apartment starts feeling like failure. A stable salary starts feeling small. A normal life starts feeling insufficient. Not because your needs changed. Because your comparisons did. And comparison is financially expensive, not only materially, emotionally, because once money becomes tied to self-worth, every financial decision starts carrying emotional weight. Saving feels restrictive, spending feels guilty, investing feels stressful, rest feels unproductive. Even success becomes hard to enjoy because there's always another milestone moving further away. It's like running on a treadmill that speeds up every year, quietly. And this creates a strange contradiction in modern life. People are more financially literate than ever, while feeling less financially secure. We have endless information, podcasts, investment tools, budget trackers, financial content everywhere. But emotionally, a lot of people feel worse. Because information doesn't automatically create safety, sometimes it creates hyper-awareness. And hyper-awareness without control becomes anxiety. That's why so many people secretly feel exhausted by money conversations now. Not because they don't care, because they care too much. Their brain never fully leaves survival mode. And survival mode changes behavior in subtle ways. You become obsessed with optimization. You overthink purchases. You feel guilty relaxing. You start treating your life like a constant financial calculation. Even joy starts needing justification. And eventually, something strange happens. You stop asking, what do I actually want? And start asking, what's the financially correct version of being alive? That's a painful way to live. Because humans aren't spreadsheets. We need emotional stability too. And I think this is where the conversation around money becomes more human than mathematical. Because a lot of financial decisions are actually emotional regulation strategies. Some people overspend because they feel deprived. Some overwork because uncertainty terrifies them. Some obsess over investing because control feels comforting. Some avoid looking at money entirely because it triggers shame. Behavior that looks irrational from the outside often makes emotional sense underneath. That doesn't mean it's healthy. But it means people deserve more compassion than they usually get, especially in an economy where stability itself feels increasingly expensive. And maybe that's the deeper issue. Not just inflation, but psychological inflation. The cost of feeling okay keeps rising. The cost of feeling low-key keeps rising. A decent life now requires managing not only bills, but constant emotional pressure. Pressure to optimize. Pressure to keep up. Pressure to turn every hobby into income. Pressure to monetize yourself before you even understand yourself. And eventually people become financially tired in a way that sleep doesn't fix, because uncertainty drains energy. Especially long-term uncertainty. I think that's why so many people fantasize about financial freedom now, not because they want yachts. Most people just want their nervous system to calm down. They want mornings without panic. A future that feels imaginable. The ability to rest without guilt. That's the real fantasy. Peace. And ironically, chasing money too aggressively can sometimes move people further from that feeling. Because there's a difference between building wealth and emotionally depending on wealth to feel safe. One is practical, the other becomes endless. There's always another number, another benchmark, another fear waiting on the other side. Which is why some high earners still feel deeply anxious. And some ordinary people with modest lives feel surprisingly grounded. Because financial well-being isn't purely numerical. It's psychological. It's your relationship with uncertainty, your expectations, your environment, your sense of enough, and enough has become incredibly difficult to define in modern culture. Because modern systems are designed around dissatisfaction. If you feel content, you stop scrolling, you stop upgrading, you stop chasing. So the economy quietly trains people to feel perpetually incomplete, not broken, just unfinished, always one promotion away, one investment away, one purchase away from finally relaxing. But that finish line keeps moving, and eventually you realize, maybe being good with money isn't about perfectly optimizing every dollar. Maybe it's about reducing unnecessary chaos between your money and your mind. That changes things. Because then financial maturity stops looking like perfection and starts looking like emotional steadiness. Not reacting impulsively every time markets move, not defining your worth by your income, not panicking every time life becomes temporarily uncertain, just building stability slowly, quietly, imperfectly. That kind of approach doesn't look impressive online. But psychologically, it's powerful, because sustainable financial behavior usually comes from self-trust, not fear. And self-trust is slow to build. Sometimes it looks boring. Cooking at home. Ignoring comparison. Living below your means without making it your identity, accepting that wealth is often built gradually while the internet celebrates extremes. Most people won't become overnight success stories. But most people also don't need to. They just need enough stability to think clearly again. Enough margin to breathe. And maybe that's the part we forget when talking about money. The goal isn't to become emotionally numb, it's to become less emotionally controlled by financial fear. There's a difference. Because money will probably always carry emotion. It touches survival, freedom, family, time, identity. Of course it feels heavy sometimes. You're human. But being human with money doesn't mean you failed. It means you're navigating systems that are psychologically demanding in ways previous generations didn't fully experience, and maybe recognizing that change is the conversation. Maybe the answer isn't becoming perfectly disciplined, maybe it's becoming more aware of what modern financial pressure is doing to your mind in the first place. Because once you see the pressure clearly, you stop internalizing all of it. And strangely, that awareness creates a little space. Space to think, space to slow down, space to define success more carefully. Not according to the loudest voices online, but according to the kind of life that actually lets you breathe. And honestly, in a world constantly trying to monetize your anxiety, protecting your peace might be one of the healthiest financial decisions you can make. So don't miss out. Subscribe now, stay ahead of the curve, and I'll see you in the next one.